Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making a cute little halter-esque top with a dragonfly pattern for the bottom section. Also, this pattern is super beginner friendly. I think every beginner should be able to do it. It's just like double crochets and half double crochets, so it should be definitely possible for any beginner to do. I will say that the dragonfly pattern is by Crochet by Alej. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I'll put it on the screen. I just found a picture of it on Pinterest. And of course, I just want to give credit to the person that created the pattern. I just finished the top, but I wanted to add in a little bit of a disclaimer because I thought I was going to be able to follow the pattern exactly from the picture, but there were a couple spots where I got confused, so I kind of just did my own thing. So while this pattern for the dragonfly section is based on that picture and by that account, it's not exactly following it. So it's definitely inspired by that picture. Most of it's the same, but there were a couple things I changed. So I just wanted to let you guys know so that in case you're following the picture and then you look at my pattern, you're that's not exactly the same thing. That's the reason why. Starting off with our materials, we have acrylic yarn in weight 4. This is, I would assume, loops and threads, but I had lost the packaging for it. And then a 4.25mm hook, scissors, and a darning needle. Okay, before we start this top, I have a tiny bit of explaining to do just because I want to make sure that the pattern will match with the dragonfly up to the top section. So basically, I'm going to have the numbers on the screen, but you need the number of stitches you do for the top section to match one of these numbers on the screen or be a higher number multiplied by 17. The reason for this is each dragonfly set is 17 stitches, so instead of having to cut off a dragonfly halfway across or something like that, it's just easier to make your top have a set number of full dragonflies. And in a moment, I'll explain that you can start off the pattern with chains or with foundation stitches, and this applies for either. So if you're starting with chains, you're going to chain that number that you have on the screen right now plus 1, and then you're going to half double crochet into all of them. Or if you're doing foundation half double crochets, you're just going to count up to that number and then you'll be fine. But make sure that you are counting and keeping track, because if the number's off, then the dragonfly pattern won't work for this top. So I'm going to start off with foundation stitches. If you would prefer to do chains and then half double crochet into them, you can definitely do that. You're just going to make a slip knot, make however many chains is wide enough to cover your bust section, and then half double crochet into every single stitch. But I'm going to be doing those foundation stitches, so you can follow along with this part. I will say foundation stitches are so much faster than chains, so if you haven't tried it out, I would recommend trying it out just this once. So first you're going to make that slip knot, chain 2, then you're going to yarn over and go through the 2 loops of that first chain, and it will be the 2 loops on the side. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and then yarn over and pull through 3 loops. And there's your first one. Then you're going to yarn over and go through 2 loops here. There will be 2 loops on the side created from the stitch you just did. Yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through once, and yarn over, pull through 3. And then you're just going to keep repeating that, going through these 2 loops on the side, yarning over, pull through 1, yarning over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 3. And so again, you're going to continue this until it reaches the width that will cover your bust section. And you can of course make it wide enough that also covers some of your back, but we are using kind of a chain tie to close off the back. So you do want there to still be room. You're not making this wide enough to cover your entire front and back as if it closes with a zipper, because we still need room to do that chain tie. Okay, once you've reached that number that is however many sets of 17, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. And then you're just going to do half double crochets into every single stitch. So what I would recommend is that for this next row, you count how many stitches you have, like as you're crocheting, and then if your number's off, you can just throw a decrease or throw an increase into there so that you can like fix it early on. I will show you how to do an increase and how to do a decrease, just in case you need to do it. So in order to do a decrease, you would yarn over, go through your first stitch, yarn over and pull through that one, and then yarn over, go through your next stitch, yarn over, pull through one, and yarn over, pull through all of the stitches on, or all of the loops on your hook, and you would end up pulling through 5 loops. If you're doing increase, you would just yarn over, go through one stitch just like normal, make a half double crochet, and then you're going to yarn over, and into that same gap you're going to do another half double crochet, so you have 2 stitches into that same little spot. But since my number is correct, I'm just going to keep doing these half double crochets the whole time, and it won't really be too much of a deal if you're like 1 or 2 stitches off, because you can just do that increase or decrease. But you do want to make sure that this top section stays the same after you've fixed your number, so you don't have to throw in more decreases or increases after that. And then just putting my half double crochet into that last stitch, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And then this is the last row that I'm going to follow along with you for this top section, and then we'll come back once we're back onto the dragonfly part, because we're just going to be doing the same thing. So for all of these rows from now on until it reaches the length you need to be to cover your bust section, you're going to chain 1 and then half double crochet into every single stitch, making sure that you're not half double crocheting into the chain at the end of the row. And then you're going to chain 1 and turn your work and repeat that exact same thing. Just doing half double crochets over and over until this section is long enough to cover as long as you need it to. And once again, half double crocheting into that last half double crochet, but not into that chain right there. And so I will come back to you once I've finished these rows. Okay, I just finished my last row of these half double crochets. So for our next row, we're going to start off by chaining 2, turning our work, and we're going to do 8 double crochets. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet into the next. And then after this first double crochet, we're going to crochet 7 more. And then we're going to repeat that for however many sets of 17 that you have. So this is my first 17, then I'm going to have my second and my third. So you're always going to start off with your 8 double crochets. And then chain 1, skip 1, double crochet into the next, and then 7 double crochets after that one. So on each side of these gaps we should have 8 double crochets, but technically here we have 16 because it's like 2 sets of those 8 double crochets. I finished my 8, so now I'm going to do 8 more. I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet into the next, and then do 7 double crochets after this first one. And then at some point I must have gotten 1 stitch short because I only have 7 double crochets here total. So I'm just going to do an increase in that second to last stitch so that I can fix the pattern. And you can do the same thing, doing an increase or a decrease to fix it if you need it. At the end of this row, then you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. Okay, I just realized you do actually have to count the chains as stitches, so we're going to do 2 double crochets, and that chain 2 is going to count as our first double crochet. Then we're going to chain 5 and single crochet into this gap, chain 5 again, skip 5 stitches and double crochet into the 6th, and then do 2 more stitches. And that is your first set done. Then we're going to do 3 more double crochets to start our next one. Chain 5, single crochet into this gap, chain 5, skip 5, and double crochet into the 6th. Then do 2 more double crochets, and then you're just going to repeat this for however many of these that you have. So I have 1 more, so I'm going to do 3 double crochets, chain 5, single crochet into the middle, chain 5 again, skip 5, and double crochet into the 6th, and you should be ending off with 3 double crochets. So I'm going to do 2 more. Then you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. Then you're going to do 1 double crochet into this first double crochet, and you're going to do an increase into this second. So doing 1 double crochet, and then doing a second double crochet back into that same spot. Then we're going to chain 4, and then this time we're going to slip stitch into that single crochet. Then we're going to chain 4 again, and we're going to do an increase into that first double crochet after the gap, so 2 double crochets, and then you're going to do 2 more double crochets after that. And now our pattern is going to repeat, so 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet increase, chain 4, slip stitch into that single crochet, chain 4 again, do an increase into the double crochet after the gap, and 2 double crochets after. And then I'm doing it one more time for my pattern, so 4 double crochets, 2 normal ones, and then 1 increase. Chain 4, and then slip stitching into that middle single crochet, chaining 4 again, and doing an increase into the first, and 2 double crochets. My second double crochet is having to go into the chain, but that still works. And there we go. And so that is our first 3 rows done. Next, we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to do 4 double crochets. So instead of going to that first stitch, we're going to go into the second one, counting that chain 2 as our first double crochet, and once those are done, we're going to do 4 double crochets into the gap. Then we're going to chain 1 and do 4 double crochets into the next gap. And you kind of just want to slide in those stitches just a little bit. And then we're going to do 4 double crochets after the gap. Starting the pattern again, we're going to do 4 before the gap, 4 into the gap, chain 1, and 4 into the next gap. Chaining 1, doing my next 4, just going to slide this over, four after the gap, doing 4 double crochets into the gap, chaining 1 and doing 4 into the next gap, and then doing 4 after. And again, we're having to go into the chain for our last. And then our next 3 rows are going to be identical to this first row that we did. So double crocheting into every single stitch, chaining 1, skipping 1, and double crocheting so that all these gaps line up like so. Chain 2, turning our work to start. And we should have 8 double crochets before the stitch. Then we're going to chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet. And then double crochet up to our next gap. Chaining 1, skipping the gap, and double crocheting after. And then after those double crochets, chaining 1, skipping the gap, and double crocheting 8 times to the end of the row. Chaining 2 and turning our work, and then repeating that exact same thing. Okay, I just barely made it with the amount of yarn I had. That was so close, I literally had to redo it 2 times, but that's okay. At the end, you're gonna chain 1 and cut off your work, but since I'm already at the end, I just have to pull it through. And then I originally wanted to make this a halter top, but the only other yarn I have is black, and I would rather have like a different color tie be in the back. So what I'm gonna do instead is make this one a tube top. But if you want to make it a halter, I would just recommend folding it over a little bit, finding 2 spots here, tying on your yarn, chaining them out you want, and then cutting it off. If you want like an example of that, I do have a halter top tutorial that you could follow just like for the strap section, and then you could do the same thing with like weaving it through the back. I think I'm actually going to use this yarn instead because I feel like this goes like a little bit better with it. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is go through this top corner and pull my yarn on. Then I'm going to tie it. And I'm going to do like about 30 chains. Actually, I want to do 40, so I'm going to do 10 more. And then I'm going to do 1 extra and cut off my yarn. And then in the next top corner, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Tying my yarn on. Chaining 40. Chaining 1 extra, and then cutting off the yarn and pulling it through. And then we're going to do the same thing at the bottom of the bust section, tying the yarn on and chaining 40. Chaining 1 extra and cutting it off, pulling it through, and then doing the same thing on the other side. Chaining 40. Chaining 1 extra and cutting it off and pulling it through. Optionally, you could do 1 extra tie in the bottom corner or like even in the middle here, but if you're going to choose to do so, I would recommend trying it on first and then deciding whether or not, just based on like how it fits. But otherwise, all we have left is weaving our ends. So I will show 1 example of weaving in ends on a chain and 1 example on the top, and then I'll come back to you after I've finished weaving in the rest of them. So what you want to do is lay the yarn over your needle, slide it off, and then you can kind of like wiggle it through. Makes it easier to put it on. And for chains, what I like to do is just go under both loops, back and forth, at least 3 times, but I usually like to do 4 times. And then I go back up the other direction. And then when I get to the top one, I like to go through kind of where the knot is, because I feel like that's like a secure spot. And then you can cut it off. And then for weaving in ends in the top, I'm gonna do this corner. You're gonna do the same thing, laying the yarn over your needle, sliding it off, and wiggling it through. And then you're going to go through the tops of the stitches a few times, through the actual stitches a few times, and then again I like to go out where that knot is. And if I can get it through the knot, that's even better. Just keeps it nice and secure. And then we can cut it off. All right, now we are completely done with this top. I love how it turned out. But yeah, if you make your own top, please make sure to tag me. I would love to see how it turned out. If you have any questions, make sure to let me know down below and I'll do my best to help. And make sure to check out my Depop and my Etsy because I sell tons of crochet stuff on there, including this top. It will be listed on there by the time this video goes out. And if it's not on my Etsy, check my Depop because I usually put stuff on there first. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!